Warning. The opinions, ideas, views, emotions, and temper tantrums expressed or otherwise conveyed on the Tony and Josh Show may not, and mostly is not, suitable for all audiences and therefore should not be heard by anyone unless supervised by an appropriate nanny state. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Tony and Josh Show. Tony and Josh are the functionally illiterates of the podcasting world. Now, here they are, Tony and Josh.
Hey, this is Tony.
And this is Josh.
And this is episode 22 of the Tony and Josh Show. I was thinking 23, but Josh corrected me, said it's 22.
Yeah, that's what I've got in my notes, and I'm brought out all my fingers and toes, and brought out something else I can count on, and I've got 22.
I was going to say, you must have rented somebody because 21 is as high as I can go.
Yeah, well, we're glad we're climbing these numbers. I can't believe we're at 22 episodes already. It just seems like the other day we started episode 1. And looking back now, we've covered a lot. We're going to cover a little bit more tonight as well. We got some wild and wacky stuff for you guys. And, we might get a little patriotic tonight, too. I got a little story I'm going to share with you guys. We're not going to have any voicemails tonight. Had some technical glitches that we're still ironing the wrinkles out on, so we'll get those voicemails to you guys next week, we promise.
Yes, wrinkles. Wrinkles, damn it.
Well, it's bound to happen when you're dealing with the cutting-edge technology that we are in this field. Well, you're bound to run into a couple things every now and again. And it's bound to happen, and, it pops up. We deal with them the best we can.
Yep, I was telling Josh before the show that I installed a second video card. Actually got doing a three monitor screen. I've got the video stuff going out on YouTube live events on one screen. Josh is on that same screen through Skype. I've got the show notes and the feed that's going, that's actually going from my system to YouTube. And then I've got the soundboard on the other screen. So if you see me panning across, I was telling a friend the other day, I feel like I'm living on the Ponderosa. I can look out of the hacienda and see these wide open spaces.
Yeah, I've got some monitor envy going on. Tony's got 6 feet of monitor in front of
6 feet.
That is absolutely amazing, and I'm a little bit jealous.
I can stick my hands out, and I think I'm end-to-end monitor, and they're kind of like I got a little curve going here. But anyway, enough bragging. Well, no, I'm sorry. There's never enough bragging. But definitely got some monitors going here, and we're going to try to do some show changes, trying to improve some things, and see if we can get a little bit bigger audience going. I don't know that we personally could do anything better, Josh. We're pretty damn good.
Well, I'd like to think so. At least I'd say we're, creme de la creme of the podcasting world. At least in my mind, we are.
Well, as my announcer friend would say, they would be creme de la creme. So, yeah, you were saying it right the first time. We want to appeal to the common man.
Yeah, I guess the cream rises to the top, and, our ratings certainly aren't. So I don't know how to exactly go, how to judge that.
I think it's just, I think it has a lot to do with just people finding out about us, and I blame myself. I'm much more a technical person than I am a person that knows how to advertise, and I think it all has to do with advertising.
A little bit of background. A number of years ago, I ran my own mobile DJ business, and I was working 6 days a week and 16 hours a day, and it was a full-time job on top of that, just marketing myself. And I think I got really burnt out with music in general, because nowadays I don't listen to as much music as I used to. And I certainly got burnt out as far as the marketing aspect of things go. So trying to market myself nowadays is really hard, because I've got a bad taste in my mouth from, days of yore, from doing it so much and so avidly. And of course, back then, things were a little bit different. Social media hadn't quite really come around yet. I think MySpace is just sort of, getting its wings. And of course, there was no Facebook back then, certainly no Twitter or anything like that. I'm not involved much in social media nowadays anyways. And that's probably a big reason for that, is just because of the amount of marketing that I had to do, a lot of the footwork, the press in the flesh, the phone calls, and all of the ad work that I did online was just really torturous. And so trying to do any of that nowadays, I really lose my motivation quickly. It's not that I don't have passion for what we're doing here. It's just, I guess it's a bad memory sort of thing, shell shock, if you will.
So I don't want to go off too much into any personal stuff here. So if you don't want to share it, that's fine. But it will make you look bad if you don't. Since I've considered all that, I'll ask anyway. Were you not very successful in the promotion? Is that what gave you the bad taste?
Oh no, it was the thing is in the DJ world, it was it's feast or famine. And so, it was strip clubs during the day. Oftentimes it was different nightclubs at night, and nightclubs go through management like girls go through shoes. And so it was, a new manager would come on board and he didn't know who the hell I was. And I already had this relationship all established with this other guy. We had these, these sort of agreements and arrangements all set up. And I, show up to the club one weekend, and this guy has no idea who I am. He has no idea about these arrangements that had already been set in place. And so now I've got to sort of reestablish all this stuff, and times that by, a half a dozen different clubs in the, in the metro area. And this is a constant routine, trying to run a karaoke show plus this mobile DJ business. So it's weddings, it's corporate gigs, it's, pretty much anything that I could get my hands on, so to speak. And it was, a lot of personal appearances and events and things like that, and charity events. And oh man, it got so tedious after a while. And I was getting to the point where I was getting burnt out. I mean, literally 16 hours a day. I'd be at, one club for 8 hours. I'd come home. I'd have, an hour to change clothes and wolf down some grub real quick, and it was off to something else. And I mean, there were some months where it was great. I mean, the income was, I'm not going to brag. I'm not going to put out any numbers, but I was very comfortable. And then there was some months where, I'd be running into new management. It was it was in the middle of the winter or something like that. And so a lot of the weddings and the charity events and things like that really weren't going on. And so it was really hard to get some of those other gigs. And it just got to the point of where it's like, all right, you know what? I'm fed up. I'm done. Time to move on to something else. Mm-hmm.
So strip clubs, I guess you had to hone your focus, so to speak.
Well, they hired me because of my voice, and I had a reputation of being extremely professional and maintaining my professionalism. And that sort of characteristic is hard to come by in that industry. And well, you can imagine how some people may delve into temptation. They may lose their professionalism and obviously not do their job properly. And I called it the we may have to bleep this in post or something. I call it the titty mines. Because it was, hi ho, it's off to the titty mine I go. Yeah. It was like herding cats, Tony. It was a very interesting job for quite a while. Sure, there were fringe benefits and all that I won't get into, but
well, I was going to say I've worked in call centers, and we're not talking about strip clubs, but it would be kind of hard to know the difference other than they were fully clothed. Because you get a bunch, and I don't understand it. You get a bunch of females together in one spot, and like what you talk about, the cats type thing. It was, I was like, okay. Well, anyway, the herding the cats that probably explained the tuna smell.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say there's there was a time of the month because there was always a leader of the bleeders.
My God.
And we're not going to delve into that too much, but
special spin on the pole and medic, geez. I've been hit.
Oh man, there was definitely a week a month where things were very interesting.
Were they on similar cycles? Is that what you're saying? I've heard that.
That's exactly what happens.
Wow.
You have an alpha female, and when you've got a bunch of girls that are, in those kind of settings for, extended period of time,
close quarters,
and exactly for, a length of time, you were talking, several months at a time, and it's the same pack of cats, as it were.
Now they would let them leave, right? This isn't a human trafficking thing you were a part of.
No, nothing like that. All above the board. It was all completely legal and state regulated and all that stuff. So. But yeah, you got one girl that sort of alters the cycle of the others because she is the more alpha or whatever. So that's the leader of the bleeder. That's how that comes about.
What would okay? I'm just thinking of a vampire reference. I'll let that one go. So were you able to identify after being there for very long, not necessarily the time of the month issue, but the alpha female? Were you able to identify that person through their personality, how they carried themselves, or is it just, I mean, did you know who the alpha female was?
Well, again, that sort of was a something that was under constant change. So you had one. There's a lot of turnover. Oddly enough, you'd think not, but no. Oddly, there's
so
a lot.
So the coroner was there quite often.
And
I shouldn't make light of this. It's just it's rife with humor.
And I've heard it 10,000 times before, and so, I just kind of breeze past it.
Yes, well, you know how I am.
No, so there's a lot of turnover, and there's a lot of battling for
dominance,
for the most attention, and that sort of stuff. I mean, that's what it all comes down to is hey, see, look at me.
I know it's hard to believe at my tender age, I've never been to a strip club.
I'm surprised. Every man should at some point in his life experience some degree of what the gentlemen's clubs have to offer, and I'm not talking about going to the back with cinnamon into the champagne room or anything like that, and emptying out your pocketbook and checking account. No. But just even going in there and having a couple beers and laying a couple dollars on the stage or something like that, I think is a rite of passage for every man.
I probably shouldn't talk about this, but my brother-in-law on more than one occasion tells me, "Come on, let's go to the biddy tar," and it's I've never been. I'm not interested. I don't drink. What do you mean you're not interested? I said, it's like going to a car show. You're not going to drive anything there. What do I care about going over? And I'm not even going to touch the car because it's a $300,000 car and they don't want you touching it. So, why? What's the draw? So he's like, I won't tell my sister. Nah, I ain't gonna do it. I mean, I believed him, but nah, I've just never been interested in going to one of those places because, like I say, it's like. I mean, I've gone to a car show. I mean, but I'd much rather drive a car,
Yeah, it's not for everybody, that's for sure. And there's no driving allowed in most of the clubs.
No, not officially. I understand. Yeah.
Yes. Now there's often I've got some horror stories that maybe I'll share in future episodes. But
talking about themes. Did they ever have Halloween themes at the strip bar?
Oh yeah. Oh no. There's one particular club, and I cycled through the circuit, so to speak. There wasn't one particular club that I was always at. So there was a few different clubs that I would cycle through. And depending on, shift available and, what was going on and all that. So, but there was a couple clubs that did events throughout the year. Halloween was a huge one, of course, New Year's, et cetera. Any of the holidays, they always would get into the spirit. Girls would wear, little Mrs. Claus outfits and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Halloween, it was no holds barred, man. Oh my God.
That's the time for women to come out as sluts. I mean, come on. They dress up. If they're not bad enough already, Halloween equals slut. I've never understood that. And there's never been.
It works for me.
I don't know. I can't think of any Hollywood movie that was Halloween sluts. I mean, maybe it has been out. I don't know, but it's just like, it's horrible. But yeah, I agree with you. It's just the way those things go. Now, my wife loves Halloween, and she, 1 year, because we worked together for 2 or 3 years, I guess, at the company I was at for 16 years. And whenever they would dress up their, whatever the Halloween day was prior to Halloween, she would come as the most horrid looking witch. I mean, she
like the green face paint. And I mean, does she go?
Well, she would get the tissue on the face so that it would simulate skin coming off.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she was really into that stuff, and she'd get the makeup and all the crap to get. And she just looked horrible and very pretty girl. Because I met her whenever she was about 28, 29 years old, and very pretty girl, and she would come up there looking just horrible. I think it was her way of giving back to the ugly people. Because it's like, see, I'm one of you. I can be ugly just like you.
I love Halloween. I can relate to, I mean, I love special effects. All that stuff. I really get into the spirit when it comes to Halloween. I do a huge haunt installation here at the house. It's going to take me, several days to put up, and it's always under development, and every year we go bigger and bigger and bigger. I really get into Halloween. I love the spirit. I love having fun with the neighbors and the neighborhood, and it's always been a special holiday for me as well. So I definitely get into the spirit of things.
I wonder how much trouble you could get in with a shotgun with blanks and some pyrotechnics under your shirt. Get your wife out there. Maybe dressed up like some trailer park people, and she blows you away in front of these little kids coming up.
Have a Jerry Springer episode right on my front lawn.
Yeah, Jerry Springer with weapons.
Yeah, Jerry Springer meets cops. Yeah. No, and I'm sure there would definitely be police called discharging a firearm here in this neighborhood.
But sir, it's Halloween. Oh, as you were, son. You're right. It is Halloween.
The prop, I promise.
Thank you, and be sure to tip your waitress.
Yes,
we'll be here all week. Actually, not just today. So, I'm sorry.
I was going to say the 7:30 show is completely different than the 8:30 show.
Yes, of course it is. Alrighty then. Well, that was fun. I had no idea. Gosh, Josh, I can just quite well imagine the interesting stories you must have standing there talking with your deep resonant voice and playing some Barry White for the ladies.
Oh man, the music was as diverse as the view was. So I played all kinds of stuff, man. Every girl had her own taste, that's for sure. And it was quite varied. I actually because of my experience in the strip clubs, I actually broadened my musical horizons substantially. And if it wasn't for that, I think that I probably wouldn't be the DJ that I became and probably am today, because I still do it on the side. I just certainly don't market myself anymore. And I have the luxury of turning down positions and jobs and stuff. Now I don't do it in the strip clubs anymore. I haven't stepped foot in a strip club in a number of years, but nonetheless, it's not something that I necessarily look fondly back on, but those were some good times.
So you could have mispronounced fondling.
Yes. That could have gone either way. Well, depending on the Skype connection, we'll see people here.
Yeah, I can look back on that very fondly. Fondling. Anyway, so really cool. You mentioned that each one of the strip club women had their own taste. I think that's body lotion. I think they come in different flavors.
Yes, they do.
Okay, yeah. See, I wasn't sure, but I was, I've got the internet, so it's I learned things.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, gee whiz, that's it's been a great show, and
we'll see you guys next week.
That's 18 minutes, and we haven't even gotten to our stuff, Josh. That was interesting. I like that. Had no idea.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've got some great stories. I'll share with you guys another time. And we've got some other stuff we're going to get to tonight. And I was going to say, speaking of bombshells, I understand that you've got something about bombs in a story that you'd like to share with us tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure I ever heard of this prior to reading it the other day on Twitter or Facebook or something, those social things you kids use these days. But I saw a story, and I personally found it very interesting. This is about an atomic bomb that nearly exploded over North Carolina in 1961.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is from foxnews.com. It says, I'll just read a bit of it here. The U.S. Air Force nearly detonated an atomic bomb over North Carolina in 1961 that would have been 260 times more powerful than the device that destroyed Hiroshima, according to declassified report published Friday in The Guardian. So I guess none of us had heard this before.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but an atomic bomb that would explode in the atmosphere, regardless of its altitude, would release an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, that would pretty much devastate any electronic device within, I don't know how many mile of a range. But even back in 1961, I don't think that we would have been able to escape such an event. Had this thing gone off, I would imagine this would have knocked, well, pretty much the entire middle of the United States back into the Stone Age.
I can't say for absolute certainty, but in 1961, and the part that I'm getting to is about the type of electronics that we had at that time. But based on, I guess, really watching movies and made-for-TV things, so it's not really technical in nature, but it may be correct. In 1961, that was really transistors were just really coming out, and there wasn't really a lot of them. In fact, it might have just been labs and things. The majority of stuff was big-ass capacitors, resistors, and tubes. Tubes were the big thing. And, and literally, they were very big. And so we probably would not have seen the electronic devastation from an EMP in 1961 that we would see today. Because basically, an electromagnetic pulse is just a strong magnetic wave. So if your electronic device, transistor, tube, whatever, is a large device that can absorb and dissipate the electronic pulse, it's going to continue to work. I mean, maybe its lifespan will be reduced, but back in those days, I actually when I first got into ham radio, my radio, at least the certain parts of it were tubes, and those tubes would go out, after 2 or 3 months, maybe 6 months. So you were always running down to Radio Shack or something to pick up another tube, and it would change how the radio worked, because it's like a light bulb, but this light bulb is kind of going out over time. So you would it would kind of change how the radio operated. It was kind of interesting if you've never been in the tube days. At any rate, so it probably wouldn't have done as much damage as it would have done today, especially with our phones. The transistors are so small. There's so many of them. Resistors are literally fly specks. You have to have a magnifying glass or at least some magnification so you can see these things, and you solder them to the boards. It's just like, it's insane. I've done one once and it was horrible. But anyway, so this, as I said, this was released Friday in The Guardian. The 1969 document obtained by investigative journalist Eric Schlossler, I'm not even going to try, go ahead.
Schlosser?
Gesundheit. Under the Freedom of Information Act, details the January 23rd, 1961 B-52 crash near Goldsboro, North Carolina, that says 2 Mark 39 hydrogen bombs broke up in midair. The report said that one of the 2 bombs behaved exactly as a nuclear weapon is designed to function in wartime, and that only a single low-voltage switch prevented detonation.
Wow.
Fallout would have been deposited over Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City, according to the report. Parker Jones, a senior engineer at the Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque, New Mexico, wrote in the report that one simple dynamo
technology.
Yeah, dynamo technology. Low voltage switch stood between the United States and a major catastrophe. Jones analyzed a book by physicist Ralph Lapp on the crash, found the bombs did not possess adequate safety for the airborne alert role in the B-52, and concluded that the detonation would have been bad news in spades.
Well, so, is that a technical term?
Yes.
You think?
In poker. So, I think I do remember hearing about the crash some time back, especially whenever I was watching a lot of science type TV, especially when it had to do with planes and whatnot. But I had no idea that a simple switch kept that bomb from detonating. It just amazes me. And perhaps we've even been misled over time, especially by movies, because they make it look like it's so technically hard to get a nuclear device to explode. And, I think over time it's come out that all you really need is a well-placed shaped charge to compress the uranium down as much as possible so a chain reaction occurs. So it probably is a lot simpler than what we've been led to believe.
Well, you've seen the movie, the Manhattan Project or something like that? Was that with Matthew Broderick or something? Made his.
Well, there was a kid. I remember there was a kid in a movie with John Lithgow, And John Lithgow was like the primary scientist, and this kid was doing a project at school, and he basically was building a nuclear bomb at school, but he had no fissionable material.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided to break into a local lab and get the fissionable material so he could actually make this bomb active. Not really to set it off, but just kind of like he really got into this. He wanted to create a real nuclear device. And he did so. And I remember it was interesting because John Lithgow made the comment that the kids' electronics that he had running the bomb weren't operating properly, weren't operating the way they were designed because of the radiation from the material that he put into the bomb. And he kind of makes a smile and a smirk like, yeah, that can happen when you you introduce the nuclear material. And it was cool. That moment was cool because it was like, you think you go through a logical process, a logical series of steps, informed steps, and then you don't take into account something. And that happens very often in programming. I'm sure it happens in other things.
It happens in my current profession of engineering as well. You get something and all of a sudden, something else changes and you got to change the entire project because of one little thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty cool from that standpoint. And I don't think we ever heard from that kid again. Gosh, could you imagine? Well,
I'm sure he got an A in that class though.
Billy's going away for a while, but they're going to put him to work. Kind of reminds me of that Bugs Bunny cartoon where he was working at the bomb factory, and a nice big bomb, a nice big shell would come up and bing, dud, bing, dud.
Dud.
I get pension in 20 years. Well, thankfully that didn't explode, but it's very interesting to find out that these things do happen, and the military is exactly what you would expect. A group of individuals. I like to think of it as a monkey with a football or a monkey with a hand grenade.
Yeah, really.
As long as they learn from their mistakes, they're just people like everybody else, and these things are going to happen. It amazes me we've gotten this far without having these issues. I mean, Chernobyl's been the worst thing that nuclear that I know that has happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as, radiation leaks and things like that, absolutely. I mean, I can imagine that, had this event actually happened, had a nuclear bomb actually gone off, it probably would have turned North Carolina into a new national park. I don't even know if we'd be able to visit it now. What's the half-life on something like that?
Well, Chernobyl's not doing too bad. So I don't know how. I think it has radioactive spots. I think that the nuclear stuff can be, maybe it's worse in some instances, but not as bad in others. Of course, radiation. The Earth is naturally has natural radioactivity through uranium that exists, and I think that there's things that the Earth does that takes care of these things over time. More so than just the half-life of the nuclear material. So, I don't know. We learn things when bad things happen.
Yeah, exactly. There's an interesting line here that I highlighted here in the show notes that I want to share with people here. Is Carolina placed a historic marker in the town of Eureka with the words "nuclear mishap," according to the Raleigh News and Observer. Now, there was a show. I'm going to channel my inner geek here for just a moment, and there was a show on Sci-Fi Channel for a while called Eureka, if I'm not mistaken.
Still on, I believe.
Is it really? I know it's at least in syndication, so I don't know if they're still filming it or new episodes or whatever. But I really liked that show, and I don't know if that town was sort of maybe labeled after this one, if they named it after this, or if there was the actual town of Eureka in North Carolina was a bit of inspiration for that show.
Whenever that show first was announced about coming out, and I thought it was a really cool idea, and unfortunately it has a lot of cheese in it. It's more of a kiddie kind of show.
Well, I think that there was a point in which they, a little Happy Days reference here, jumped the shark. And I don't know if there was a particular episode that did it, or they changed writing staff. I don't know. The first couple seasons or so was pretty good. And then it just kind of sort of droned on. Maybe they lost good writing material. Maybe they lost good writers. I don't know. Ran out of inspiration and just sort of started getting a little bit more cheesy than anything. I don't know. In any case, the show certainly doesn't hold up nowadays as it did early on.
Well, according to Internet Movie Database, it was a 2006 show, and it has a little dash and then no ending year. So as long as IMDb is current, they're in their 5th season as of 2012. So they don't show anything for 2013. Now, I don't know if you remember the guy that Sarah Connor was going to assassinate in Terminator 2. He worked at a company there in California that was developing a computer, a multi-core computer. I think the piece of technology they had from the brain of a Terminator was an 8-core processor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, he's in Eureka. His name is Joe Morton. I've always enjoyed him. He's a very good actor.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I was sorry to see him die in Terminator 2. He was a good man.
Yeah, that was a very tragic death as well.
Well, it was a suicide, but he was trying to blow up. He understood what was going on with the Terminator thing and how that was going to be bringing things to the future movies. Now he wasn't going to be a part of them. It would have been, I don't want to kill myself. I think these wounds will heal. I want to be in Terminator 3.
Not going to happen.
Yes,
hey, speaking of not being a part of anything anymore, I've never personally had frostbite. I've never lost an appendage or an extremity or anything like that. But there's a bar in a specific place, in Dawson City, Yukon, that is looking for your toe.
Oh, no.
They've got an ad out saying toes wanted by this downtown hotel famous for what's called the Sourtoe cocktail. Now, I know you don't drink, Tony, but I've had some interesting drinks over the years, different martinis and different concoctions of, whatever bartender is the mixologist behind the bar is concocting for, that night. And I've never had anything like this. This downtown hotel in Dawson City, Yukon, they suffered a major blow last month when the Canadian establishment's signature cocktail, a drink containing a mummified human toe, was ruined by a troublemaker known only as Josh from New Orleans. Now, obviously, I'm not in New Orleans, so I had nothing to do with this, I promise. Now, the Sourtoe cocktail dates back to 1973, and for $10, customers can add the leathery digit to any drink that they want. The tradition is not to consume the toe, obviously. Well, that would be just nasty. Just let its black, wrinkled flesh touch their lips as they imbibe the surrounding liquor. Now, this Josh character didn't care about tradition. The out-of-towner slammed back the toe and a shot of whiskey before dropping $500 cash, the bar's original fine for toe swallowing, and he disappeared without a trace. Now, the hotel is now running ads on its website and in the menu for new toes. Now, ABC has even reported just a couple weeks ago, the hotel spokesman Adam Gurley, I'm not even going to butcher that name, says the bar still has one toe left, but even so, quote, we've been welcoming new toes. Now, the ad on the hotel's menu states, and I quote, got frostbite? The downtown hotel in Dawson City, Yukon is currently seeking toes for its world-famous Sourtoe cocktail. The donor will be forever immortalized in the Sourtoe Hall of Fame, and it lists a contact for details. Now, the bar owner has said that since the ad went up, they've already had, quote, a few offers, primarily from people who suffered an accident or will soon be undergoing a medical procedure entailing full toe removal. Now, the original Sourtoe, which allegedly belonged to a trapper who lost it due to frostbite, which was accidentally swallowed in 1980. Now, the hotel has gone through about a dozen toes ever since. Now, the subsequent toes were donated to the saloon, and they sit in a bath of pickling salt when they aren't in use. Bar officials say that the booze's high alcohol content keeps the toes sterile, despite the fact that they may touch the lips of more than a dozen people in any given night. Now, there are videos online, folks, of this. I'm sure that all you'd have to do would be go to YouTube or something like that and type in Sourtoe cocktail. I've seen a couple of these videos, and it is quite disturbing. It is literally a black, leathery, mummified toe that they pull out of a salt bath, shake it off, dust it off, and drop it into your glass of whatever liquor you so desire. And there's one guy who they go through this whole process, and there's a chant and there's a song and there's all kinds of, rigmarole that goes about it. And he takes that shot and the toe touches his lips, and that's the whole thing. And so even though I do enjoy a nice adult beverage every now and again, you won't be finding me enjoying a Sourtoe cocktail anytime soon.
Hold the toe.
Hold the toe. Yes, please.
So as you're reading this, I have this horrible thought. Being illiterate, functionally illiterate, I don't read that much. I hear things, and I just assume I'm hearing what I heard, and my pronunciation is based on just me parroting back what I've heard. So I'm wondering, when my mom said, "Try this sourdough bread,"
no,
that it really is sourdough and not sourtoe.
Yes. Yeah. No,
it's damn good if it is, because man, that's some tasty bread.
No, yeah, that unfortunately the bread and the drink have nothing in common other than the sour aspect of it. No, this folks, this is a real human toe that they drop into your drink.
This has got to be illegal.
Apparently it's not, because it is sterile. This is a long-going tradition. Now, again, Dawson City, Yukon. This is way up in Canada.
Okay. Well, they don't actually have government there, so that makes sense.
They don't have. Yeah, I was going to say they don't have. The OLCC or the liquor control commissions of any particular state. They probably don't have the kind of health regulations that we do here. This probably, I would imagine, has to fall into a degree of gray area. Pardon the pun there, but and they're able to get away with it. Obviously, they have been for several decades. So, folks, if you're interested in a very interesting experience, I'd say head up to the Yukon and find yourself having a Sourtoe cocktail.
I don't know. That just seems like a lot of jokes there.
Yeah, well, I want to get serious here for just a second, Tony. I want to share with you and everybody else here, if I may, just really quick, a little story that I came across here recently, and the story is called job hunting, and this is we've delved into political and patriotism and stuff like that in shows past, and well, we're going to get into a little bit of that here real quick for just a moment, and I'm just going to go through the story. It's only going to take me about a minute or so to read, and sit tight, folks. It's actually going to be kind of fun. So the story's called Job Hunting. Joe Smith, obviously an anonymous name, started his day early, having set his alarm clock, made in Japan, for 6 a.m., while his coffee pot, which was made in China, was perking. He shaved it with his electric razor, made in Hong Kong. He put on a dress shirt, made in Sri Lanka, designer jeans made in Singapore, and tennis shoes, which were made in Korea. After cooking his breakfast in his new electric skillet, which was made in India, he sat down with his calculator, made in Mexico, to see how much money he could spend that day. After setting his watch, made in Taiwan, to the radio, which was made in India, he got in his car, which was made in Germany, filled it with gas from Saudi Arabia, and continued his search for a good-paying American job. At the end of yet another discouraging and fruitless day checking his computer, which was made in Malaysia, Joe decided to relax for a little while. He put on his sandals, made in Brazil, poured himself a glass of wine, made in France, and turned on his TV, which is made in Indonesia. And then he wondered why he can't find a good-paying job in America. Folks, I'm a big supporter of Made in America. And that little story kind of puts things into perspective, just sort of the things that we do just throughout our day, through our routines and stuff like that, that really kind of put, well, just how much of our daily lives is not American, involves items that, well, didn't come from around here. Now, obviously, you can't just close up the border and keep everything all American all the time. I'm all for America. But oftentimes, we got to have stuff that, well, is not made from here. But it kind of puts things into perspective as far as, what's going on with the job market nowadays, at least especially in the last couple of years, and why it is so hard to find a good paying American job nowadays, because so much is being outsourced. And I'm all for made in America. I buy local when I can. I buy American when I can. But honestly, I'm sitting here looking around in my studio, and I can't tell you there is one, maybe two things that are sitting here in front of me that was probably made in the USA. It's just part of life, unfortunately. But that little story just kind of opened my eyes a little bit and just kind of put things into a different kind of light and made me think about things a little bit as far as, what made in America really means nowadays, especially with so much that we have in our daily lives that we take for granted and so much that we don't even look at.
Well, I'm going to go on a direction here that you probably wouldn't have expected, but I remember back in the 70s and certainly the 80s, but mainly the 70s, when the American car makers, manufacturers were getting their asses kicked by Japan. Because I think it was the Lexus and certainly Toyota, maybe it was pre-Lexus, but it was certainly Toyota, Nissan, some of the other vehicles. They were coming out with vehicles that were very well made. I think anybody that is had a vehicle back in the 70s knows that if you had a vehicle that had 60,000 miles on it, you were near the death of that vehicle. And even if you rebuilt the engine, there were a lot of other things that you were going to have to worry about: rust, how the body parts were fitting together because of vibrations, and the vehicles were just not made well at all. But here across, the Pacific, you could get something from Japan, which is a very small country with very limited resources compared to America, both
That's right.
both in human brains, engineers, and in actual physical resources to make the vehicles that were making a superior product. I'm sorry?
I was going to say, especially natural resources.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, natural resources. And they were making a much superior product. And if we, and I say we as the Americans, had our way, I seriously suspect that without that just ass whooping we got from Japan and how to build cars, we would still have vehicles that only got 60,000 miles, or they might be up to 80,000 miles by now. And you know why? Because engineered obsolescence is profitable.
That's right.
And why? It's not bad business to do that, but it's a bit dishonorable, not very, it's shady. It's a shady business practice. But you have to ask yourself, why were they doing this? And I think one of the reasons why they were doing this was, and I'm just going to, maybe I'll come up to the edge of political.
All right.
The unions.
Oh, sure. Especially in the 70s and 80s, the unions ruled.
Yeah.
I mean, that
had to pay a decent wage.
Yeah. Yes, you did. And
a decent wage is $80K.
Yeah, still to this day.
Plus 600 years of benefits to you and your next 6 generations that follow you.
Yeah.
Because the unions were able to do that deal. Somebody needed to stand up to them with balls and say, no, we're not going to do that. But everybody, because of the way the market is set up, and when you have a publicly traded business, you don't care about 10 generations down the road. You care about the numbers right now because you need to make your numbers so the stockholders will be happy, yada, yada.
It's all about the bottom line.
Right. And it's not necessarily a bad way of doing things. It's been very successful in capitalism, but there are downsides to it. And saying yes to irrational, unreasonable demands is one of the downsides. And it has had very large political ramifications because of these companies, very big companies, making these decisions back then. Now, I think that if it wasn't for the absolute ass-kicking that we were getting from the foreign car manufacturers, then nothing would have changed, and prices of vehicles would have gone up, the quality would have stayed low, and we would be buying vehicles every 2 to 3 years, as good little consumers should.
Now, I'm going to flirt with this political just a little bit more here, Tony, and say the reason why I don't think that we see a lot more made in America stuff, and why there is such a huge competition for overseas goods and products being imported, and why the market is so big for goods and services being imported from overseas is because of the amount of taxation and regulation that is being put on small business, and it's extremely hard for anybody to start up a startup company to produce a product here made in the USA, to mass market and mass produce it without running into an extreme level of both regulation and taxation, obviously, which has to be paid for, accounted for, and then sort of turned back into the price point of the product that is being offered, or the services being offered, rather. And so you end up with, well, obviously, you could have something here made in the USA. It's product XYZ, but then you could have 10 for the same price that were made in China. The same XYZ product that was made in China. It might be different materials, obviously sourced a little bit differently. It's going to look a little bit differently, but does the same exact thing. For instance, take tools or something like that. For instance, you could buy a $100 wrench set, a Craftsman wrench set made here in the USA, or you can go down to your local Northern Tool or Harbor Freight and spend $10 for the same wrench set. That's probably not as good of a quality, but it gets the job done. And especially now in the kind of economy that we're living in nowadays, people are going to be a little bit tighter on their money. They're looking for a better value. Certainly a better price point, and they're going to be looking for something that's cheaper. And unfortunately, nowadays, more and more, it seems like you're getting more of what you pay for, and you're getting something cheaper. And that's kind of what it comes down to. Oftentimes, I'll find myself, if I can get away with cheaper, I'll buy the cheaper. If I need quality, I'll spend a little bit more money, and I'll look for something that's made in the USA.
Well, like you say, I mean, if you can go buy something for $10 and you can get the quality for 50 or 75, how often are you going to be using that tool, that device? And, if it's a heavy use item, like maybe in a business, then you probably want to spend the $75. But if it's personal use, I think I can go down and buy that tool 3 times for $30 if I need to. So yeah. It's a numbers thing. Even people that don't do math can figure out that buying it for a one use or 2 use tool for $10 makes a lot more sense than having the warm fuzzy, the buying American and buying the quality product. And I think that's the problem. We've had the story in the past about the printers that print things, actual physical items.
3D printers. Yeah.
Yeah. I will go out on a not so small limb here and say that I believe whenever the 3D printers get to where they are capable of creating hardware freight or Chinese quality goods, that you will see again a small business revolution, because there really won't be a cost involved for the individual that's making these items. They'll be doing out of their home or their garage. So I really think that's going to be a huge renaissance of bringing things back to America, because if Joe down the street has the latest and greatest 3D printer that has that extra quality that keeps the gun barrel together for multiple round shots for 10,000 rounds or something. There I went with guns.
Yeah, squeeze it in sooner or later.
That you're going to go down there and buy from him, and it's going to give him some money so that he can go out and get a better, or updates to that 3D printer to do more things. It's really going to hurt the countries around the world, because there's no shipping. There's no shipping. Now, they may make the 3D printers, until we start making our own with our own 3D printers.
Exactly.
You see what I'm going for here?
Exactly.
In America, we have technology, and this is the age of information. And we have information. We have the internet. We developed that. We have the information on like the CAD CAM stuff that you do. So it's the individuals that have this higher knowledge, this data, this ability to understand three-dimensional items and bring them to fruition that is going to once again make America head and shoulders above everybody else. Everybody here has a damn computer, and that's what you need to print 3D things.
Yeah, and really, I mean, this computer age that we're in right now, and the level of expansion of technology, and you know, you're looking at back over the years as far as how technology has progressed by decade, and we're in such a technological boom right now. It's not even funny, and the things that are going to be coming out of, you know, the next couple of decades as far as technology and the level in which it's going to be produced and available to the general public is just mind-boggling at this point. And you're looking at 3D printers that you can get right now at Staples, for that matter. Obviously, there are 1,000 different kinds and versions and software and capabilities available online. They all do different things, but nonetheless, it is a driving technology that is becoming more and more available. I mean, geez, it's on a big box store, brick and mortar. It's there. You can go and get it right now. And play with it and experiment with it and build on it and expand it and all this sort of stuff. And obviously you can start prototyping with it. And that's what I'm talking about, is being able to get out there and have that ingenuity and creativity and drive to start creating something that you can then obviously build a successful business off of if you so desire. I mean, this what we're talking about here is the American dream. Well, guys, without getting too political, I'd like to go out on a happy note, and by happy I mean, well, happy ending, and you all know what I'm talking about there.
Al Gore does.
There's a very special story that I found in coming across my research over the last week and digging for some interesting stuff to talk about. And there's a particular woman, a Polish woman, who wants to set a new world's record. And that's interesting unto itself. I've always been a fan of the Guinness Book of World's Record. I pick one up about every 5 years or so, and just to kind of see what's new and all that. There's a 21-year-old, and I'm going to butcher her name here, so pardon me. This is, again, it's Polish. Ania Lasuski. Ania Lasuski, I think is how it's pronounced, from Warsaw, Poland. She's on a mission. Her goal is to sleep her way through Europe. Now, most of us conjure an image of a backpacking trip through Europe, sleeping in little hostels here and there, all through various little countries along the way. Well, this girl doesn't want to have a snooze in lots of countries. She wants to sex her way through the continent in a quest to screw 100,000 men, despite being in what she calls a serious relationship. But it's not just Europe that she set her sights on either. Miss Lasuska is after the world. Now, September has marked the beginning of her planning phase for this world tour that she's embarking on. So that beginning in October, here just another week or so, she will start to visit as many countries as possible. In a quote from her blog, she says, I hope I can also get permission to enter the Arab countries and meet with some of the men they have there. Now, starting in her homeland in Poland, on May 24th of this year, she's already racked up 284 sexual partners. And when her home country comes up dry, she'll move on to the neighboring countries to spread the love, as it were. Now, obviously, her serious boyfriend is not thrilled, to say the least. Now, she plans to spend at least 20 minutes with each partner, which would take her almost 4 years to complete if she does nothing else in between the 100,000 men. Now, she set up a website to help her facilitate and document her whole quest in hopes to get into the Guinness Book of World's Records. Now, which as far as I know, at least in the books that I have, they've never judged a sexual-related record before. Now, according to her website, and it's just her name, anialasuski.pl, she literally gets thousands of emails every day and has a fairly massive fan base, according to her at least. And so why is she doing all this? Well, in her own words, I'm going to close with this. She says, I live in Poland, a country where sex is a taboo subject. You have to be determined to achieve what you want. I want to make love to 100,000 men. in Poland, Europe, and around the world. I'm not worried about negative comments. Why? It's all about love, sex, and having fun. I want you all to come play with me. So in any case, all I can say is, well, good luck. And man, I hope there's some protection being used.
Yeah, like a armed bodyguard.
Like a body rubber. I don't know. It seems like there would be a whole new venereal disease created from this girl's ventures. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's that's just really sad. I mean, to each their own, and it's a free world, free country, yada yada. But yeah, I at 21, the brain hasn't fully formed yet, and no, of course not. I can't help but think she's going to look back on this in 40 years, and much like a tattoo, go, "What the hell was I thinking?"
Yeah, I think we got a sound drop for something like that.
What the were you thinking?
Yep. But everybody likes a story about a 21-year-old girl that wants to sleep with anything that walks. You did say men, right? So she's at least not a 21st century girl, and all genders and species are welcome.
That's according to the story is what she's going after. So I imagine that, it's all got to be counted. It's all got to be documented. And there's, I guess, a team that is following her that is.
Well, yeah, of course. Sniffy team.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of wet wipes.
Now, I noticed that let me see if I can find the line real quick. I just thought when you read it, I just thought they missed a obvious opportunity to write something in here about what was it about the dry country?
Oh yeah, when her native Poland comes up dry, she'll start moving on to
I think it was pretty obvious to put in bone dry.
Yeah.
and,
bone dry.
And when her home country comes up bone dry, yeah, I don't know. Perhaps it's just too much tongue in cheek. Oh, I did it again. So, guys, thanks a lot for joining us on the show. Didn't mention it that at the top we do YouTube live events every Thursday, 10 p.m. Central Time. Just go over to, and I know this is confusing, but we have to do it this way for now. You go over to YouTube/user/XJ Talk, and you will see the live event for the Tony and Josh Show. We do another podcast that has a lot more subscribers, so we can actually do the live events on that channel.
Of course, you guys can always head over to